All right. We are back for Roundtable Ravens, episode number 16. We had to jump back on and do an emergency pod because the last 48 hours for the team has been absolutely bonkers. I'm back here with Billie Melissa and Buddy. We're going to be talking all about Ravens football, and you probably have already read about it and seen it, and everybody knows about it, but we haven't really given our kind of reactions to it on the video form. But to address the giant elephant in the room, Maxx Crosby is no longer going to be a Baltimore Raven at the midnight hour, if you will. The Ravens backed out of the trade, and Friday was the craziness in which they traded for him, and then yesterday was what, Tuesday. Tuesday, they backed out, and I woke up and I saw it, and I was freaking out, and I was like, "What is happening?" Wrote it, and just been reading and listening to everybody talk about it, and yeah, good news: the Ravens get their two first round picks back. Bad news: Maxx Crosby's going to be back on the Raiders.
Yeah, bad news for Ravens fans. Raiders fans are having a great time because they got Tyler Linderbaum as well. They were having a great old time. No, absolutely shocking. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that happen in Ravens history. And especially with everything that come before it, like Pat Ricard going to the Giants, and then what else happened? There's so much. And then, yeah, who knows what is going through Eric DeCosta's mind right now?
Yeah, no, it was pretty crazy. Like, I mean, at least in terms of how Eric DeCosta's going through it, I mean, he looked pretty poised yesterday talking to the media, but yeah, losing Max Crosby the way they did, it was pretty crazy. Like, just how all that happened. Like, when Max Crosby came out and publicly talking about the trade, he looked pretty, business as usual. Not, I wouldn't say like excited, but he knew what was going on, and he knew that he was going to get traded, and to be traded to a franchise like the Ravens, who have kind of honed themselves on defense, throughout their history, and then for him to only be a Raven for what, 4 days, and then have all that happen with his physical and whatnot, it was just pretty crazy. Like you said, Billy, I've never seen anything like this in the NFL, and to lose a player like that, it's pretty tough, and then to find out that Trey Hendrickson wasn't plan B. It was like the plan was for Trey Hendrickson and Max Crosby to be
Yep.
together as well. So that was just insane. And I don't know where the Ravens go next in terms of, their pass rush. Like I was like is it just Trey Hendrickson and that's it? Like what's gonna be the deal there? So there's a lot on Eric DeCosta's plate.
Yeah, I mean, he was clearly very seldom in his delivery of everything. You could tell there's obviously a lot of like holy crap behind his responses and like his eyes. Just pulling some from the transcript of what he said. He said, one of the key things, quote, one of the key things is you bring the player and try to get as much information as you can. We did that. We were not able to complete the process of acquiring the player based on our assessment of the situation. It's very, very disappointing to me. There's nobody more disappointed than me. He's a player I greatly admire. I think Maxx Crosby, one of my favorite players in the entire NFL. I know our fans are upset and devastated. I understand that. It's a tough, tough situation, but I think for the Ravens, it's the right situation, end quote. So from gathering information, initially everybody was like, "What the hell happened?" But then it was revealed that it was a failed physical. But more information started to come out about it, and basically, as is my understanding of the situation, he's supposed to be able to play in the fall because he had meniscus surgery to repair the nagging knee injury. But from what I understand, the Ravens medical staff and their doctors assess the situation, and it's more of a degenerative issue that they were worried about. Now, everyone's going to say they got cold feet, they backed out, this, that, whatever. But if doctors are saying that your long term investment is not worth it, then you got to back out. So I respect the Ravens for that. I don't know if that was all the way as they explained it, as Eric DeCosta explained it, but you're giving up two first round picks. For the next 2 years, you don't got anybody in that first round for a player that, as I said, is 29 years old. And I said I was worried about it for that simple reason in his knee. But that doesn't mean that he can't play. But it's more so like if you go and spend those two first round picks, who's to say in 2 years his knee is worse? and he can't even play 17 games. So then are people going to look back at it and go, oh, the Ravens made the right decision? Again, I'm not a doctor. We're not doctors. We don't know the full scope or whatever was assessed or whatever, but it was enough for their medical staff to tell them, hey, this is a bigger risk for you guys. If you keep him, you should probably back out. So,
Yeah. It was massive, unfortunate timing.
yeah.
It was just like so much had happened, and then literally just before Pat Ricard had been traded, and it just looked really, really bad. And I think everyone took that and ran with it. You could see in Eric DeCosta's eyes when he was talking, he was haunted
Yeah.
by what happened. You know, he was so disappointed. I think like part of almost allowing that many people to leave was the fact that they had Maxx Crosby was saying like they were filling the holes that they needed. And now obviously Tyler Linderbaum is over there. He spoke quite candidly about that as well, saying that they just didn't have any money to offer. And it really was that simple. And the Raiders just had more to spend that they didn't have. Yeah, really unfortunate timing. But you're right. You know, they may look back at this 2 years from now and be like, thank goodness that we did what we did. And the rest of the league may forgive them for it.
Yeah, I mean the other bigger thing too, the other aspect of what everybody's saying is like, did they burn bridges with how they operated in this sense? And like you got to look at it. It's like, okay, they did what every team does. If you fail a physical, a trade does not go through. It's not like this has never happened before. It happens all the time. Like it literally happens all the time, but not all the time. But you know what I mean? It happens often enough where everybody understands the process. So what was funny, which I thought was more of like the Eric DeCosta like mic drop moment, was when he was like, one of the reporters asked him if this is gonna affect the Ravens in any way. He's like, I don't know, but my phone keeps ringing. So I thought that was like, I thought that was a moment to break through all of the like, yes, we understand how crappy of a situation this is, but we're still the Ravens and people are going to keep calling. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you know, it's like you said, Billy, it's unfortunate timing. Like it couldn't have come at a worse time for the Ravens, especially because they were trying to, like, this would have been the ultimate holy crap thing for Trey Hendrickson and Maxx Crosby to be the two guys after we've said for weeks that they need to go and get. Yeah, they need to go get pass rushers, and to have two of the best pass rushers on the same team, like that would have been absolutely crazy. Again, we don't know how true or not true that is. Eric DeCosta could just be saying this, but he was saying that Tyler Linderbaum, they couldn't go get him because they were already working on the deal with Trey Hendrickson, and then also they were trying to bring in Maxx Crosby. So so then you think about it in the terms of that, you get your top tier center, or you get your two pass rushers. And obviously, I think the obvious choice would have been your pass rushers here. You can find another center, you can find another lineman. And I don't mean in the sense like you're going to be able to replace Tyler Linderbaum. Of course not. But you get two of the most elite pass rushers on the same defense with Jesse Minter and Anthony Weaver. Like, it would have been disgusting, purely disgusting to see that. But, you know, it is.
Joe Burrow would be running for his life six times a year, having TJ Watt, Maxx Crosby, Trey Hendrickson, Myles Garrett all in one.
The only other thing that I find very odd about the situation is Trey Hendrickson just had core muscle surgery. Trey Hendrickson also has an injury thing going on, but they signed him to a 4-year deal or 3-year deal. I can't remember which one it was.
4-year,
122 or something like that. Which
12, 60 million guaranteed.
So on that, real quick side note, 28 million a year is not a lot. How the hell do Bengals not want to pay him that much money? Anyway, whatever.
The Bengals never want to pay anyone.
I know. We're not a Bengals podcast. We're just gonna like skip
Thank
over
goodness.
that part. Yeah, I just thought that was very weird. Anyway, but he just had core muscle surgery himself. You know, he had like I forgot what the two injuries were. It was like a hip and some thigh or something. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, the point being, he just had an injury thing too. So it's just like I said, like when you're
he's older.
And he's older. He's 31 as opposed to 29. Yeah. When you're thinking about the grand scheme of things, something had to have been shown in that physical or whatever to the doctors to make them have pause. So I believe that the Ravens did what they needed to do. I don't think that this should fall so heavily on them. And the sense of people are like, oh, well, that's terrible. Like, you screwed everybody over. Like, really? Did they, though? Like, they did what they needed to do. So
screwed themselves over.
Yeah. I mean, they get their first round picks back. Awesome. But they lose a perennial edge rusher. And now Maxx Crosby went on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and said that he's back and he's going to stay a Raider. So I don't know how true that is, but I think now the Raiders are like, okay, screw it. Like you're not going to get those 2 firsts back from anybody after that. It's not that is the only thing that screwed everything up. So whether or not the Raiders, hold a grudge against the Ravens for that, I don't know, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, EDC was also saying about like he got a lot of information from a lot of people, had a lot of conversations. So there could be a deeper thing behind all of that that we're not privy to and won't ever get to know. There are a lot of that, he has to take it on the shoulders and kind of deal with it, but he probably knows a lot more than he's giving off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a crazy situation. Like this is it's not unprecedented because I believe the Ravens did back out of 2 trades previously in team history, but nothing like this because it's Maxx Crosby. Like it's Maxx
And
Crosby.
after losing all those players too, it's just like there's so much attention there.
Yeah, so Tyler Linderbaum gone. I can't even remember all the names.
Jordan Stout, Isaiah Likely, Pat Ricard,
Charlie Kolar, Ardarius Washington, Alohi Gilman. They're all gone. And so the Ravens were getting hammered, absolutely hammered. And this was like they're back kind of moment, and then that went away.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, Ravens lost a lot. What? For a second, I was like, the Ravens might have backed out because they lost so much and it felt like they weren't going to contend. They're like, okay, we'll just give you Maxx Crosby back for a second. But then obviously the physical thing came out. I was like, whoa, it was just a lot going on there. And obviously it's really it's gut wrenching, for sure. Just like how Eric DeCosta said, they're gutted. So
Hmm.
like now it's just in terms of like what type of direction they're going to go on. Especially they not only lost a lot, they lost a lot on the defensive side too. And then they lost some really key players who, yeah, they're not like mega stars or anything like that, but they've been contributors for the past number of years for the team, right? So, there's just a lot of question marks now. There's a lot more questions than answers now, and we're 2 days. This is the second day of free agency, right? So, there's still a lot of time on that front, but it's at the same time, it's like, man, what way are they gonna go? It's a lot more questions than answers right now for the Ravens.
Yeah, we forgot Draymond Jones as well is gone.
Yep.
But I mean, again, like that was the thing where like, cool, you can get rid of Draymond if you're bringing somebody in like a Maxx Crosby or like a Trey Hendrickson, which
Yeah.
that
Could do them
happened.
both.
Yeah, they were trying to do both, which again, that would have been everybody would have been like Eric DeCosta just dunked on everybody with those 2 signings, but
It
and
almost would have made everyone forgive him for the other 7 of them walking out the door.
definitely, and just like you said, buddy. I mean, the problem is like these are all starters too. They're not just second, third tier guy, rotational guys. These were all starters that they lost. Jordan Stout, All Pro and Pro Bowl punter goes to the Giants. Isaiah Likely. Again, it's not necessarily that they needed to keep Isaiah Likely, but you lose Isaiah Likely, you lose Charlie Kolar, then you got a problem.
Yep.
But moving right along to, a little bit more better news. The Ravens did get some people back. They got Chidobe Awuzie. He is finally
Yep.
back. We talked about him. We talked about him in length. We're like, we hope he comes back. He's a solid cornerback. They needed something. One of the homegrown guys to stay. Not homegrown, but you know what I mean, in-house people to
Yeah.
stay. Free agency. And former Miami Dolphin, great blocking tight end in my opinion, Durham Smythe was also signed to the team. So he's obviously going to be the Charlie Kolar replacement. He's only ever done blocking. He was with the Bears, so he knows Declan Doyle. So I have experience watching him play. Fantastic blocking tight end. So, cool. Just really
Filled a
quick.
hole.
Yep. Yep. Real quick on the Awuzie signing, which it's just the funniest story ever. So Jeff Zebrick, who is the Ravens beat reporter for The Athletic, we read his stuff all the time, know who he is, accidentally tweeted out that they signed Awuzie for $5. Not 5 million, but $5, in which
Steal of the century. There.
deal of the century. I mean, at this point, if they would have signed him for $5, everybody would have been like, oh, it's all right. Forget about Maxx Crosby. But it was really funny because Awuzie retweeted it and he said, just enough for a McDonald's McChicken. He
Yep.
goes into the facility today to sign his contract, and right there next to his contract is a McChicken. He takes a bite and he's like, all right. He's like, I need $5 more. Very funny. I love it. Again, more levity of the situation of like what's transpired for the Ravens thus far and free agency. But Awuzie is back. I think it's a great re-signing. We were hoping that he was going to come back. So yeah, that's some good news.
Good news and not a lot of money spent for it. Just a simple McChicken sandwich.
Just a McChicken sandwich. It's all you needed.
Oh man. No,
Um,
no, yeah. I
yes.
mean, it was awesome signing by the Ravens. To get a player like that back. Obviously, like their secondary started off. It was a really rough start in 2025. Got a lot better towards the second half of the season. And then also adding also adding Jaden Hawkins from the Patriots. The Patriots took one of their players, and then the Ravens returned the favor as well. So there's some things looking up. At the same time, it's not like I said before, it's not like mega players as well. But these could be key guys who could carry the load on defense and maybe return the Ravens to a formidable unit on that side.
Yeah. The other thing, maybe this is something, well, it's something that we're obviously going to talk about, but maybe it's more so tying into what happened, what occurred contractually and money wise for why Tyler Linderbaum was not signed in time. The Ravens did restructure the contract of Lamar Jackson. They created 40 million in cap space by doing so. The full details have not yet been released about what they did, but they said it's similar to what Patrick Mahomes and I think Joe Burrow received. I don't know
Yeah,
all the
Josh Allen.
yeah. I don't know all the full details, so I'm not going to speak on that aspect of it. But basically, what was concerning about this update was that they said they couldn't reach an agreement on a long-term deal. So they restructured in anyway instead, I mean, and they created cap space. So that barely happened when they signed Trey Hendrickson. So I was thinking, did that occur too late? And they got to the 0 hour where they were like, either we restructure you now and we worry about long-term deal later or whatever. And then that led to Trey Hendrickson. I mean, Trey Hendrickson. That led to Tyler Linderbaum signing with the Raiders because they couldn't offer him that money at the time because they hadn't wrapped up Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. I
Tinfoil
don't
hat
know.
on. I don't know.
You got the conspiracies out. I think for me it's just Lamar not knowing what the future looks like and putting all his eggs in a basket when he knows he's a player that can get a ring. And there are organizations elsewhere around the league that would happily drop their quarterbacks in a heartbeat for him. I think he's testing the waters this year and not looking himself into additional years in Baltimore kind of helps him do that.
Yeah, and this kind of ties into what we were talking about with all of the conspiracy theories and all the kind of worry about it. And maybe this is his out too. Maybe this is like okay, and especially seeing all those free agency losses, like half your team is gone, and
Your
now
best guys.
your best guys and the guys that like were blocking for you, Tyler
Yep.
Linderbaum, Charlie Kolar,
That help you
I
be your best.
Isaiah Likely, they're all gone. Jordan Stout obviously is a big reason for the Ravens offense being able to get back on the field. You pin the defense back. I mean, the opposing offense, the defense does their job. So all those guys are now gone. You see those free agency losses, and then they go, oh, we're not going to pay you more money or whatever the case may be. Again, this is just speculation, but we're not going to pay you more money. And Lamar Jackson goes, the hell you aren't. Like, look I am the guy. And we
Yeah.
know he's the
Like
guy.
I'm all you got left, baby. It's like,
Right, right. So you better jack this thing up a couple mil per season or whatever. Again, this is just wild speculation, but the,
yeah.
the point being, like, is this the outset of like him wanting out of things going worse? So 2025 was already pretty bad. What if 2026 is worse? And what if
Yeah.
you're looking at the situation and going, you know what? Like you just said, Billy, I'm Lamar Jackson. I can go to another organization that's better built and go win a ring with them. And who
Mm.
wouldn't? Who wouldn't want to pick up Lamar Jackson out of all 32 teams, 31 minus the Ravens? Like he's available. It's like a Maxx Crosby thing. You bet the farm on that guy for sure. So I don't know. It's tinfoil hat off. I'm just saying that's
Yeah.
it's kind of odd timing that we were just talking about this and like you didn't reach a long-term deal, only a restructure. So a little bit of worry there for me.
Yeah,
Yeah. He's left room for them to kind of build around him and he's like, we'll see what you can do and then I'll see what I can do and then we'll go from there.
No, yeah, it's weird too. It kind of feels like there's like this kind of running clock with with Jackson and the Ravens, regardless, right? Because obviously there's they haven't been able to get over the hump with Jackson under center. Clearly, Jackson has proven that excuse me, he's arguably like the best player in the NFL, right? But just for one reason or another, Ravens haven't been able to get over that hump. Maybe this could be kind of like Lamar Jackson's out, right? Like on the bright side, the Ravens do have their picks back, right? This year's and next year's. But is Lamar Jackson willing to wait for this rookie, whoever it is? Clearly will be a top end rookie with the number 14 pick, but like, how's that going to work out? What position are they even going to target, right? Like, is it going to be a wide receiver? Is it going to be an offensive lineman? Like, what's the deal there, right? Are you going to get pieces to complement Lamar Jackson, right? Like, so there's still a lot of question marks with that. And then too, like, with the contract, obviously, that's like the biggest one. Ravens have made it known that that's their top priority. How long is that going to take, right? So there's just a lot of factors going into that. Like clearly, like I feel like the Ravens want him to stay, but if the Ravens don't do a good job in giving him pieces, and Jackson will be like, well, I mean, I've been here all my career, it's just enough is enough, right? So it's going to be very interesting to see how that unfolds, especially with the draft next month, and then in the summer months as well, or whatever else they do in free agency in the next couple days or weeks.
Yeah, and I mean, it's similar to the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow situation. Obviously, it's not as dire in Baltimore by any means, but you get to a point where you're like, either you're going to support me and build around me, or I'm out. And like exactly like you just said, I think you're towing that line a little bit right now because now with all these free agency losses, you need a tight end, you need a center, you need
You're right tackle.
yeah, you need safeties. There's so much going on right now. And this was clearly those steps back you didn't want to take. As opposed to like I brought it up before, look at what the Rams did. They kept all the guys, the core guys there, and then they go, "Oh, we have a shitty secondary. We're gonna go build that up in a big way." Obviously, the pass rush they were trying to do that, and it didn't work out. So again, maybe it's all the stuff that happened in the background that led to this moment. But right now, if you're Lamar Jackson and you're looking at the situation unfold, it does not look good.
He knows he's not had the career he's supposed to have. He knows he's not, he's not just seeking one Super Bowl. He wants multiple. He wants to go there every year. He wants to be AFC Championship winner every single year. And so
Mhm.
he's not going to do that for an organization who really has given him a lot. Like they've given him the keys to the car at points throughout throughout his career. He's had complete control. They've gone and got the guys that he wants. I think there's probably just a mutual frustration there that didn't just end with Harbaugh. Maybe there's an issue with Eric DeCosta too. I mean, not to put speculation around their relationship because it seems to be a good one. There seems to be like mutual respect there because they don't talk about each other in public. Eric DeCosta even said in the presser, he was like, I'm not going to talk about our negotiation. And they don't. And it seems to be that he just wants to win. And
Mhm.
he's not going to bet the rest of his career because he's turns 30 this year.
Yep.
He's on, I think, the beginning of next year. He turns 30 in January, I think, next year. So why on earth would you then bet an extra 4 years in somewhere and then you become 34 and then you don't know that the best years are behind you by that point?
Yeah.
I mean, not for Matthew Stafford.
Right. No, yeah,
So
But I mean, like
two different
again,
skill sets.
again, that's just kind of the. Oh, I didn't even notice Keaton Mitchell signing with the Chargers. Crazy.
Yeah, he's gone too.
yeah,
They got a real good one. We never utilized him the way that he should have been utilized.
Oh wait. Okay, so the Ravens did get a center slash guard.
Who we
just
got?
Jovan Gwynn, former Falcon. Breaking
Great.
news.
that just happened now.
Yeah, literally just happened.
Great. Finally, we're actually on live when it happened.
Yeah, literally at 4:30. Well, not just 4:30 in the morning here,
Oh,
but yeah. Uh, oh, I guess he used to play for Javon Gwynn used to play for the Ravens. 1 year deal. Falcon center guard. Cool. There you
Oh,
go. But anyway, going back to that, yeah, you're right. He's only turning 30, and as you know, there is a lot of longevity with quarterbacks, but at the same time, your championship window is shrinking every single year, and we know that. And 2025 was just a lesson in going like, okay, you really got to put those pieces around Lamar, especially on the offensive line because he cannot go down. If he goes down, the whole the whole season is essentially lost. And regardless of what people say about that, and like obviously Tyler Huntley can get the job done, he's not Lamar Jackson at all. Nobody's
No
Lamar
one is.
Jackson. Yeah, nobody's Lamar Jackson. So you have to you have going back to the Costa thing, as you just mentioned, like that could be it too. That could be the thing. Is like, look, you have to take a long look at this and go, okay, yeah, you got rid of John Harbaugh, who was with the team for 18 seasons, but why is Eric DeCosta still here? Why is Eric DeCosta still here and not necessarily free of that criticism, but like that deeper criticism where you go, we have to make a big change because we're not getting over that hump, as you had mentioned, buddy. But then you look at it, okay, what's the other X factor here? It's Eric DeCosta. So at what point are you going to be like, okay, Eric DeCosta's got to go too? Because regardless of the relationship or whatever or what have you, if you're but like we brought up before, like the Ravens are really good at drafting and awarding those players, but then they get sketchy when it comes to free agency. And you can it's understandable not to go and take big swings, spend a bunch of money, and then it doesn't work out. But at the same time, if you're too gun shy on that, then you end up with what you end up with, and you don't have anybody bigger. This is the first time, and again, this just goes back to the Crosby craziness of it. The first time that the Ravens ever spent a first round pick to trade for anybody, and then it ends up not working out. But then it's like you can't use that as the bar to then back away from free agency. I mean, they went and signed Trey Hendrickson, awesome, but now you got to go bigger. You got to go and get more people. You got to fill those holes because there's a lot now. You have your two first round picks back, 14 and 2027 as well. But like you said, buddy, there's so many holes. Tight end, offensive line, wide receiver. Who the hell are you going to pick at that number now to mitigate those losses that you just were hit with?
Yeah. I think EDC feels the pressure on his back, you know. I think Bashali made it clear in that presser after Harbaugh left that Eric's next. Is the next one out the door if it doesn't go well. I think, and that's why he's taken these bigger swings because he can afford to. You know, there's no safety net anymore. John was kind of the safety net, and now Eric's next up on the chopping block. So I think he's feeling the pressure. He spoke about that. He spoke about maybe going and get more free agents. He didn't say they were finished. He said they're looking at the draft and the free agency situation equally. He did say there wasn't likely to be any moves over the weekend.
Yeah.
So if we see anything, it'll be in the next couple of days or the start of next week, I imagine. So
Yeah, he did
we
also
don't
say
know.
that they're going to be targeting offensive linemen in the next couple of weeks, which
Yeah,
as they effing should. You got to do that because like
that's next.
yeah, honestly that's next. But I mean, obviously you got that guard from the Falcons, guard center, but you still need you need to upgrade that unit completely, infuse some competition, and to see who's going to be your center for 2026 because you're still at a very big loss with Tyler Linderbaum not playing for the Raiders.
He did also say center's one of their best positions that they've drafted over the years, and that's true. So, you know, they're looking into that, I think, seriously, considering that as an option.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, Lamar Jackson's still on the team, right? I mean, someone has to protect him. Like you guys mentioned,
Please.
they lost three key players who protected Lamar Jackson. Obviously, we all know how elusive he is, but at the same time, he's a quarterback. He has to be protected, right? So, are
Mhm.
they gonna maybe use that are they gonna use maybe a top center on the number 14 pick, right? Like, are they gonna go after maybe? Well, I mean, they already went after a center slash guard, but are they gonna maybe provide more depth in that with the number 14 pick? Because yeah, Lamar Jackson, he's elusive and he's a magician out there, but he has had some injury history as well. You want to keep him upright, you want to keep his jersey clean, right? You want to be sure that he can play up until maybe late 30s, right? And I know that's kind of a long way from now, but if you feel like this guy is your franchise quarterback, which he's clearly proven that he is, right? Like, you got to take care of him. So, you
Yeah.
have opportunity to do that in the draft.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and you got to replace Daniel Falale and then potentially replace Voorhees too because he wasn't the greatest either. So it's like you're looking at two guard replacements already, and just start stacking the deck. Like we brought up Francis Mauigoa and then brought up Vega Ione. Now at 14, either one of those guys make more sense because you got to upgrade that offensive line in a big way, protect Lamar Jackson. Like that's your main goal now. And then obviously, who knows, maybe. maybe I'll just throw some craziness out there. Maybe they go and trade for AJ Brown. Maybe they're not done yet. They got their first round picks back.
I've
Give
been
that
thinking that.
give that 2027 pick to the Eagles and bring him in, and there you go. You upgraded in a way that people might forget a little bit more about Maxx Crosby.
Sure.
Yeah. And I think for me, you really need a replacement for Pat Ricard.
Yeah.
That guy got the run game going. He was injured at the beginning of the season. The run game faltered because of it. He came back and it started flying again. And they need someone who can do that. And if they're not going to do that, then they need someone like AJ Brown. They need a second wide receiver to play alongside Zay, that is going to give those other opportunities if the run game can't get going.
Yeah, and it sucks too because right after the Dolphins cut Alec Ingold, he went and signed with the Chargers, and I thought he would have been perfect for the Ravens because he's a fantastic fullback, and look how good Devon Achane was because of him, but
Yeah.
because of those blocking assignments. And you lose your blocking tight end again. You got Durham Smythe, which is great, but you're right. They need a fullback. They need to bring somebody in. Who knows? I don't know what they're going to do there, but
I mean, Declan Doyle's got plans, I'm sure, but
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously
yeah.
this whole everything, both sides of the ball was going to go through a makeover, and it's clearly that's the case because they allowed all those guys to walk out of the building, whether or not they could afford them or not, or whatever the case may be. But there's clearly a plan in place. Obviously, it doesn't
Yeah.
look good right now, but there's going to be something going on that we don't quite see just yet. They may not be done. This may have been the kick in the butt that DeCosta needed to be like, okay, I can't be coy in free agency anymore because look what happened. You got all these teams like the Raiders, second biggest spenders, the Giants, like all these people with a bunch of cap space. Not that the Ravens had a bunch, but they're just going out there and proving their teams leaps and bounds. No one says that's going to work out, but you can't be that gun shy. You can't just wait for things to happen. You got to go make them happen. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was our emergency free agency 2.0 podcast. We had to jump back on and talk about all the craziness because it's been a really wild 48 hours. It's been a really wild week. We've covered
Hmm.
so much. We've talked about so much. Thank you everybody for listening. We'll be back next week. Maybe we'll talk more about whatever the heck DeCosta has up his sleeve. Maybe there's going to be some signings or trades that we don't see coming, like an AJ Brown. I don't know. Maybe they're going to go and get a center from somebody that we don't quite see coming. I don't know. But thank you, Billy and Buddy, for joining me once again. This has been Roundtable Ravens, episode number 16. We'll be back next week.